Hello, I'm Princess Chelsea. My Letterboxd profile is Princess Chelsea, and these are four favourite films. Okay, four favourite films. The first movie that I remember watching is The Neverending Story. I think my dad or mum got it out for us on VHS, so I saw it. I think I would have been 5 years old. To me, it was the most amazing and magical movie. I loved how it was set in American city, and for me as a kid from New Zealand at that time in the 1990s, the United States seemed like a very exciting big place. I was fascinated with lockers and like American candy. And then, of course, the other half of the movie is set in a fantastical dream universe. And even like the soundtrack to the movie, wonderfully cheesy DX7 kind of sounds, really influenced my music. And I can say it's definitely one of the movies I've watched the most in my life. The first image of the tower seems like it's in space or something. It's in another universe. What's the tower called? It's like the Empress's Tower. Anyway, that tower. And this beautiful music comes in. I think it's Falcor is flying to it. That imagery and the music and everything around it sticks with me. And then, of course, there's the scene with Atreyu and his horse, which I think traumatized a whole bunch of adults and children when they first saw it, but a very powerful scene. Film number 2 is Pretty in Pink. So when I was a little bit older, maybe kind of an early teenager, I used to love to go to the video store, and I think VHS was still around then. It was sort of early DVD time, and I would just get out lots of the cheap films. That's when I discovered the kind of John Hughes movies around that time. I guess I went through a phase of watching those 80s teen movies. And for me, I guess again, it was like another sort of obsession with American culture. Like the idea that their high schools had lunches and lockers and cheerleaders and jocks and all that. I loved all that. I lived a pretty closed life growing up. And the character of Molly Ringwald in Pretty in Pink, I identified with her as like an outsider, and I was just starting to think of myself as a cool old girl. I was just discovering music, so I really connected with that character. What I really like about it is it's really funny and clever, and it has great music and a great supporting cast, but the character of Ducky, like he's obviously in love with her, and it's kind of strange because he feels like he likes all these cool trendy bands and things, and he wears cool clothes, and he feels like he's almost entitled to her affection because he feels like she's the same, but she doesn't choose him. She chooses kind of a normal preppy guy who's a really nice dude too, and he likes her and she likes him. And as you get through the movie, you kind of get this feeling like maybe she's going to choose Ducky at the end, and maybe she's going to realize that they're the same and he's the one that she's meant to be with. But she doesn't. She just chooses the guy that she likes, and Ducky has to suck it up. And I feel like that's a good lesson. I like the ending. When I first saw it, I didn't like the ending, and then I've watched it so many times I began to think it was a really good ending. I've just learned from the cinematographer here that there was the original ending. Molly Ringwald chose Ducky, and they played it for the test audiences who didn't really buy the story, so they had to get Andrew McCarthy back to reshoot the new ending, which I like, and he'd shaved his head for some movie, so he had to wear a really bad wig. And it's a notorious bad wig moment in Hollywood, so I just learned that now. So yet again, there's another lens through which I can watch this movie. Okay, so number 3, I moved out of home when I was about 17, 18. So it coincided with the release of Revenge of the Sith. I remember it was pretty exciting when those Star Wars prequels came out, because, I mean, now they churn them out every year or something, but like it was a big deal when they first came out. Revenge of the Sith I was very excited about because it did do something that none of the other movies had done. It answered this big question, where did Darth Vader come from? And that's a huge big deal. Like, he is iconic, and I want to know where he came from. So we all knew what was going to happen, and I was like, how are they going to tell the story? Is it going to be epic enough? Is it going to be dramatic enough? I feel like they went for absolute gold because almost the last hour of the movie seems like choreographed, weirdly operatic, dramatic thing that basically ends in the creation of Darth Vader. One of the scenes I remember very, very clearly is Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen battling it out. There's some sort of volcano that's exploded, so they're sort of surfing on rocks over molten liquid, fighting each other. And Ewan McGregor gives a stunning monologue as he tries to convince Anakin not to turn to the dark side. And if it couldn't get more dramatic, he then chops his legs and his arms off. And then so Anakin Skywalker is sort of writhing around on the ground. I think he caught on fire as well. And he's consumed with hate. So it's a very over-the-top example of what happens if you let hate and negativity consume you. And I can even remember the tone of Ewan McGregor's voice as he's begging Anakin not to turn. I can hear his voice crack. Like now, I can still hear it. I cried. I think I went to the movies and I saw it 10 or 11 times. So it was a big movie for me. I know it's not the best Star Wars movie, but for me it had the most impact. And it also coincided with a time when I felt like I just left home and I could go to the movies 11 times, skip work or do whatever I wanted because I was independent and free. My fourth film is Hoop Dreams. I came about watching this in the lockdown, so it's my most recent, I guess it reflects my taste recently. And I got into watching YouTube clips of Siskel and Ebert review movies. It was really fun because you can discover a lot of movies that are kind of lost pre-internet era, and they're really good. And I've sort of vaguely heard of Hoop Dreams, but I watched them review it and then I had to watch it. And since then I've watched it about 3 times. It's one of those movies I try and make everyone watch if they haven't seen it. You remember that movie Boyhood that came out? And it was a big deal because they spent a long time filming it. Yeah, they spent 6 years filming this, and I feel like it's a documentary, so it's even more astonishing that they pulled it off. I actually really hate a lot of documentaries. Hate's quite a strong word, but I mean, I hate them. Like sort of modern Netflixy kind of stuff, how they really just drive something very obvious what the point is they're trying to make. Hoop Dreams is a little bit more fly on the wall. It deals with 2 young men growing up in Chicago who want to become basketball players. What I found fascinating was just the families of the 2 young men, like Arthur's dad, who seemed to have a drug problem, but they never really dramatised it or made it a big friggin' deal. It was just in the background. As you watch time pass, you could see the father come and go. It's just such a classy way of telling a very, very complex story. I know I'm rabbiting on, but I think Hoop Dreams is my favourite movie. It is the Ivory Tower. Now I remember after Sophie Googled it for me.